Hello, it's me, Sam, and I'm here at Villaroger, at the very far end of Les Arcs, and we've been everywhere today. I'd say we've seen everywhere, but we haven't, because the visibility is like this. It's awful. You can't see anything, plus, because we've been in cloud all day, just ice freezing to your goggles, which has never happened to me before. I'm not sure how it's never happened, but all today, ice freezing to the outside of your goggles, and it's complete whiteout anyway. There are a few pockets which are alright, and the snow conditions are fabulous. We had 5 to 10 centimetres of snow last night, down here as well, and that has made it lovely on piste. Like, the pistes are beautiful, just you can't see them. So anywhere where it's a bit steep and it might get a bit choppy, you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. I'll show you some footage, but it's going to be awful. Let's go and look at that. So we started in the Arc 2000 bowl, which has had a good amount of snow in the last week. It's been on and off this week. We've had some sun, we've had some snow, particularly in the upper areas, but the snow has come down everywhere since last night. So whilst it might be 5 to 10 centimetres at the bottom of Villaroger, bottom of Peisey, Vallandry, Arc 1600, actually in Arc 2000 you're probably definitely looking at 10 centimetres, if not a bit more. And there's plenty on the piste and plenty to play with, which is absolutely fabulous. As I say, the visibility was in and out, which meant that when you were in cloud you couldn't see anything. When I say there was poor visibility, like, this is exactly what I was talking about. Here you can see that there's a lot of cloud, you can't see anywhere. Also, it's very difficult to pick out the next pole as you're moving along. But the strange thing about today is because of the temperature, I think, and the type of cloud, ice was freezing onto goggles, and you can see it freezing onto the camera here in exactly the same way, and it just made it very, very difficult to see. You kept having to stop, scrape your goggles off, which was not ideal. Actually, on my final run of the day, I managed to get some mist inside my goggles. Ice was freezing to the outside of my goggles, and you couldn't see more than about 10 metres ahead of you. So yeah, really quite difficult in terms of visibility, but because we'd had a decent amount of snow but not an absolute dump of snow, it was fairly consistent underfoot. This leads me to some helpful hints that I have for riding in low visibility. First of all, head to the trees. If you head to the trees, you might be able to see where you're going a bit more, or otherwise try and get above or below the cloud. Today that was quite difficult. There wasn't getting any, you couldn't get above it, so you had to get below it, and below was probably under 2,000 metres, and on the Peisey Vallandry side, the Arc 1800 side, the Arc 1600 side, but that obviously keeps moving up and down. We probably had our best runs in the trees at Peisey Vallandry, and it was still quite quiet today, which was good. Don't stop in the middle of the piste. If you do happen to stop in the middle of the piste and sit yourself down, then get up, get to the edge of the piste if you can see where that is, get towards a pole effectively. If you do happen to stop on the piste, if you're waiting for somebody, stay stood up. You're much more visible stood up than you are sat down, and it was clear there'd been a few accidents today, especially around the areas where people would stop. So yes, that's a good thing to avoid. And also remember that the orange topped poles are always on your right. The poles on your left don't have an orange top, doesn't matter if they're blues, reds, blacks, whatever. The ones on your left, they are normal poles. The ones on your right will have an orange top to them. So when you really don't know up from down, your orange top poles are on your right, your normal poles are on your left. And lastly, I don't know why people don't wear bike lights. You could easily clip a bike light onto the back of your helmet, and I'm sure there are some helmets with lights on. Just have a flashing red light on the back, and then especially if you've got people following you, much easier when you can't see anything at all. Those are my tips. Yeah. So that's what it's like out there. Again, the visibility is awful, but the snow is great. And even down into Peisey Vallandry, the lower slopes, Peisey Vallandry, Arc 1800, actually the snow has done a lot to make them better now. So yeah, pretty good out there. this is what it's like. We're going into January. I'll see you again soon. Cheerio.